Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I actually did want to have a bit of a sit down chat kind of video today because we are almost at the end of 2022, which means heading into the new year, I want to give you all of my top tips to declutter your space so you're not kind of dragging any of the leftover kind of mess into the new year and your new kind of vibe for heading into a totally new mindset. So I find that trying to assess a lot of that stuff now before we get into the crazy busy holiday season is just going to make your home feel so much more peaceful, so much more organized, and it will also be in a state where you're willing to have people over and you'll feel ready to invite other people into your space without it being overly cluttered or really messy and you constantly feeling like you're running around last minute cleaning things up. So I thought this was the perfect time for me to share a couple of my tips. So just a super quick reminder as well, if you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe and support my channel, and I'm just going to get straight into the video. There are so many benefits to decluttering your space, and although it is kind of tough at the time and it is really time consuming, the benefits far outweigh the work that you're going to put into doing all of this decluttering. So I thought I might touch on a couple of those now because these are the main key motivators for me to keep my space really decluttered and really clean. The first and possibly most obvious one is there is just less things to clean. So if you look at this little pedestal thing behind me, I've just styled a couple of pieces of decor on top, and that is it, because I used to have an entire shelf full of things and they were constantly gathering dust because they were just little items and they don't really serve much of a purpose other than aesthetics. And although I do really believe in having beautiful objects around your home because they can enhance your, just general state of well-being to kind of look at really beautiful things, I also think there comes a time when there's like a limit to how many things you can run around and constantly be cleaning, and it might even lead you to some feelings of resentment if you are literally just cleaning, because as we all know, those tasks just pile up and there are things we have to do every week, like the laundry, vacuuming, and so on. And if you then add on top of that cleaning a whole bunch of items in your home that you don't even necessarily want or need, then that's where it comes into play that it makes perfect sense to start to declutter. Another reason is there is simply less to organize. So if you're someone who is always thinking something has disappeared, or you're running out the door and you can never find your keys, or things just seem to disappear into the ocean of all of the things you have laying around, then you're a perfect candidate for decluttering your home, because I've actually got systems in place now. Like, for example, I am someone who constantly loses my keys, so now I've got a key hook over by my door and I make sure every time I come home I hang them up there. And also just reducing a lot of that general clutter and things that were laying around means there are less places to look, so I'm much less likely to misplace things around my house. Another huge reason is less stress. So we all know the negative impact on high cortisol levels on the body and how this can kind of lead to things like bad moods, less sleep, etc. And it is just so damaging for you to come home to a space when you've been out at your job, whatever that is, all day long, and your home is kind of like your little bubble away from the world, and it's the one place where you can have respite from all of the busyness and the bright lighting and the noises and all of the above. And you're going to then come home to a pile of clutter. Like, the number one thing for me is to come home to a space that is just so smoothly organized and just so easily free of clutter that I'm not like visually overstimulated by having to look at 50,000 different things in my space. There's just a couple of really simplistic aligned pieces of decor, and that's what really enhances my overall sense of well-being in my home, because it sort of then starts to feel like a hotel, because you kind of have a few little personal touches here and there, but overall just an abundance of a free feeling of space. This is particularly important if you are in a small space or an apartment just like me, because there is already a lack of space. So if you're then just going to bring in a house worth of stuff and plonk it into an apartment, it's not going to be a good time. So I think also being realistic with the amount of space you have is very important as well, because I would love to have a huge big home like my parents, but that is just not my reality at the moment. So keeping my things as streamlined as possible is really important. Another huge factor to decluttering, and something a lot of people never consider, is the financial gain by not constantly buying and spending things to fill up space that you don't even have. So there are a lot of ways that people can kind of overspend and overstretch themselves, and one of them is just buying constant things. And I totally get it. I really enjoy going to the shops and having a browse and buying a couple of things, and I genuinely think we all get a little bit of a buzz from buying new things or receiving a package. But if you can just kind of nail the way that your house is going to look, you will find yourself buying things less often because you simply just have a space that already works. Lastly, I would say by applying all of these different strategies, you are now just going to be happier, healthier, have so much more space in your home. You'll be spending less time cleaning, you'll be less stressed, and you will overall have a better sense of well-being. So these are literally the key foundation points as to why I constantly stress to people that you really do need to get on top of your decluttering and have a space that just works for you. So of course, this video wouldn't be complete without me giving you some actual tips for how you can go ahead and do this. So I'm going to give you my top 10 tips for decluttering, and please feel free to leave any of your own in the comments down below so we can all kind of help each other out. But these are just a couple of creative strategies that I've sort of used over the years, and I do think these will be really beneficial for you guys as well. So you may have seen, if you've been around for a little while, that I really do love productivity timers, and I've got a little one from Amazon which has a couple of different minutes on it and it kind of goes off on a timer. But if you don't have this, you hopefully have a smartphone where you can just kind of set up a stopwatch timer or something. But my biggest thing is to say start 5 minutes at a time. Either put away 5, 10, or 15 minutes where you just target a particular thing. So if you just want to have a quick clean of the pantry, pop on a 5-minute timer, get as much done as you can and leave it. Because this means you're not going to start resenting the idea of cleaning and doing things, because trust me, 5 minutes goes by like that. Another task which you could set yourself is to give away or declutter one thing per month. So as we know, there are 12 months in a year, and if you think about it, you are giving away 12 different items out of your space. It is the same kind of mentality I have to purchasing new things for my wardrobe. I have a 1 in and 1 out policy where I will either sell or donate an item if I'm wanting to purchase and pop a new item into my wardrobe. And I would say treat your house no different, because if you are just constantly buying and adding and never taking away, that's when you start to end up with a really cluttered space. So if you can avoid doing this in the first place, you are already ahead of the game. Another one is a fun little exercise, and it's to get a garbage bag and see what you can fill it with. And I'm thinking like leftover boxes of things that you don't need, any paper and waste and junk, any recycling that might be laying around, you might have clothes that you want to donate, whatever it is, fill an entire garbage bag and make that your challenge for one weekend soon, and see how much you can actually get done, because I guarantee you, yet again, that is something you will fill up very quickly before you know it. You guys also know that I love a good wardrobe declutter, and I do have a couple of videos on here where I kind of go through my items and I'll either try them all on, or I will just have a bit of a method of how I'm going to get rid of some things based off whether I've worn it recently or not. So I challenge you to go into your wardrobe and have a sell, donate, or keep pile and go through every single item you can, whether you start with just tops one day, maybe another day you tackle bottoms or dresses, whatever it is. Definitely try and have a little bit of a methodology to how you approach it, and by trying things on or giving yourself a pile of clothes to wear to work for the week, you can then start to figure out what it is you want to keep, and if you don't want things, pop them all in a donation box and take them to your nearest charity on the weekend. Another method I really like is to create a decluttering checklist. So I can try and pop a couple of things on a dot point list down below for you guys if that would be helpful, but essentially I'm a real visual person, so I definitely really enjoy creating like daily planners, to-do lists, checklists, because it makes me feel really good once I've actually gone through it. So perhaps your decluttering checklist would be a room by room, so you might say bedroom, bathroom, laundry, garage, whatever, and work your way through decluttering each room. Or it might be a little bit more specific, so it might be like go through all of my food, go through all of my tops, go through all of my books, whatever it is. When you start having a list, I feel like it's really motivating to start checking it off. This one is one of my favorite tips, and I think this is so incredibly helpful, particularly coming up to the event season, but it is to view your home as though you are visiting it for the first time. So if you were to leave right now and walk back through the front door, what are some of the first things that catch your eye, and how does that sort of make you feel about the space? So if the first thing you're seeing is literally clutter straight away, or a shelf that has things styled in it that just don't really work and looks too busy, start to take some of them away. Or if you've got 1,000 million throw pillows on the couch and everything's just looking very busy and very cluttered, and someone would walk in and have absolutely no idea where they could even sit, then that will be a good place to start as well. So that's kind of how I like to do it. I want to visualize how my house is representing me when people come over to visit, and how I can kind of declutter it so it's the most comfortable space possible. Another fun tip is to play around with some before and after videos or photos, because yet again, that gives me such a buzz, and it's a really fun way to capture a little bit of your decluttering progress as well. So even if you were just cleaning up your kids' room, or maybe you were cleaning up the pantry, you could do a bit of a before and after, share it on social media. You can tag me if you want to. I love to see people doing a bit of decluttering and making their homes really organized. But I definitely think that having a little bit of a goal where you can kind of look back on where you've come from is a really rewarding way to approach decluttering. Another tip is to ask for help. You don't have to do all of these things alone. So if you live alone, maybe you could ask a friend, or if you are with your partner, maybe you could get them to help you. If you've got kids, you could offer them some pocket money for assisting you guys in doing some cleaning up. But whatever it is, I do think it is really great when you get an extra set of hands, because you might be lifting some heavy items, or you might just need someone else to kind of hold things up and say, do we want to keep this or not? Or is this really working for us? And you can really start to assess your space that way. My last tip for you guys is to really have a think about what your values are and what some of those items kind of mean to you. So obviously there are going to be more sentimental items, which are things that you will absolutely want to keep your whole life because they have a special story or an attachment or a meaning for you. But for all of the other items, I think it is definitely a great idea to not view them with such value. Like, they are just objects, and unfortunately it is a little bit of a result of a bit of consumerism and the materialistic sort of side of things that we can kind of buy into from time to time. But if it's something you don't have a deep emotional attachment with and it's no longer serving you, then definitely consider selling it. You can look at websites like Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace, eBay. All of these places are really good to be selling secondhand goods, and there are tons of people out there wanting to grab a bargain, so I don't think you'll have any problem getting rid of a few of your items. That is everything that I have to share with you guys today. I hope this has been a really helpful video, and if you think I've missed anything or you've got some better tips for decluttering, please leave them in the comments down below, and I would love if you could give this video a big thumbs up. I will see you next time. Bye!